Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court. I'm your host, Stephanie of Dope Soul Sports Talk, in my usual spot, weekly spot on the Queen's Court. Got a lot to talk about. The regular season is over. It went kind of quick, actually. Knicks won 47 games, which is 10 games above last season. A lot of factors that went into that, a lot of things that swung right for the Knicks. We'll talk about that. The Knicks play their first playoff game against the Cleveland Cavaliers Saturday in Cleveland. Will Randle play? Not so sure, not so sure about that. We'll break down the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll talk about some matchups as well. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime anything goes live on this channel, which includes the Queen's Court, of course, the controversy. He had a show right before this. Shout out to Josh. The NBA report with Ron and John from Still Knicks fans. International Andy has a series now. Be sure to check that out. Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruisers with the Losers Lounge, which is a big hit. My creative brother. So be sure to check that out. And then, of course, pregame, postgame, morning shoot around. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's morning shoot around. And events, videos, whatever Simeon Russell, the creator of this channel, puts out. You want to have your notifications on so you don't miss a beat. All right, let's invite in our guest today, Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises, delusional Knick fan from delusional Knick fan, and he'll talk. He'll talk about what he does with his channel as well. How you guys feeling today?
Peace, Queen. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Blackest Time. Delusional.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to tonight. It's going to be a fabulous episode. Knicks is winning. I'm feeling good. Can't complain.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not going to go over last week's games like I usually do. The season is over. I think the Knicks were 1-2. This week we beat Indiana the first game, lost to New Orleans, lost to Indiana second time around. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Before we get into breaking down the Cleveland Cavaliers series, talk to me about the season. Like, what stood out for you this season? What were your swing factors for this season? So I take it when at the beginning of the season, I'm pretty sure you had a number in your mind that you think the Knicks number of games the Knicks can win. But I'm sure there was a few swing factors that if those things panned out, the Knicks would win more games, and if they didn't, not so much. What did you think the Knicks would win, and what were the swing factors for you, and did they pan out? And shout out to
Tone, you want me to take first?
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right. So, beginning of the season, we got Brunson. Wasn't sure what Brunson can do, things of that nature. Julius coming back. Mitch, Hartenstein pickup. So, I was middle of the pack. I was thinking roughly 43, 44 wins from the beginning of the season because I was unsure with Brunson. I literally thought Brunson could have gave me, 18 and 7 vibes. That's what I was thinking. Then of course, we had the full roster lineup. We still had Cam. They're still trying to figure out the 10-man rotation. So it was stuff going on that it wasn't straightforward. Then we start to switch it up. We get the 9-man rotation. You see the defense get better. You see players that's getting consistent minutes. My mindset changed from there, because you saw what Tibbs can do with a Tibbs lineup, a Tibbs rotation. But then once we got the trade, I'm sorry, my mindset was thinking 50 wins. And I think I came on to your show, Queen, and stated that, hey, 50 wins. And everyone was like, wait, hold up. Don't jump the gun. But then I stated, Mitch coming back healthy, and during that stretch, Mitch was averaging a double-double as soon as we came back and we went on a run. Hart came in, played phenomenal, and it wasn't just offense. It was just the way he gelled, the energy he brought to the crowd from day one. Then, of course, Brunson came through. This dude was shooting over 40% from the three-point line. 50% from the floor, just giving us pure numbers and a leader. Take the energy off of Julius Randle for him to play smart. So I was banking high. I was like 50 wins off the top. Then of course we could have gotten if we had beat Charlotte one of these nights and then continue to run it through. So right. I think and then Tibbs adjustment. once Tibbs got players that he trusts, he was able to spread the load, open up the offense. There was certain ball movement here and there, had more trust in Quickly. Opie still got put on the back burner, but it's because of Julius' production, because of what he was doing. So it's tough to kind of implement the golden child for me. I called Opie the golden child. Uh, and pretty much team just kind of catapulted to 47 wins, which could have easily been 50 wins.
Yeah.
So I'm actually happy with the way it turned out. Definitely, it's Tibbs all the way with him adjusting, playing players that he trusts, and the team being prepared and willing to listen to Tibbs and go forward.
Listen is something because when you listen to them, they sound like mini Tibbs,
Oh
one
yeah,
game at a time.
oh yeah.
He was asking
Yeah.
RJ about the after the New Orleans game about the playoffs. He's like, "Nah, we're not focusing on the playoffs right now. We got one more game." Salute,
But-
Shuttle. How are you?
Shut up.
Sheldon, what's going on?
All aboard,
All
doing well, doing well. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late, but
No, I didn't get the link to you late, so
all right, cool. That's true, But I would never told the people you did that. You know what I mean? Shout out to Delusional, Tony Crow in the chat. We all aboard on a playoff edition. Hello.
that's right. That's right. Before we get into Cleveland, right now we're just talking about the season itself, what stood out for us, if there was any swing factors, anything that you thought would need to happen this season for the Knicks to be successful, and it actually did, or was it something you thought that needed to come through, but something else came through, and we still got to the same place?
Well,
Oh, sorry, Tom.
prior to season, I thought it needed to be RJ Barrett stepping up and not necessarily being an all-star, not being 24 points a game, but just as we talked about many times, being more efficient, making layups, and improving his defense and just being an overall version of what Josh Hart actually became. And to me, Josh Hart is without a doubt the difference maker of the season. He's the player that put the energy, the attitude, the aggressiveness, the assertiveness, the figure out a way, find the ball, attitude and energy. And I just think he put a spark on the team that is undeniable. And I don't think this team is where the team is at without Josh Hart. Salute to Tibbs, of course, for making the adjustment to the 9-man rotation and putting D Rose and Cam on the bench and Fournier where they needed to be, giving the young players a chance and doing what he did. Like that was critical. But without Josh Hart, we don't get to the place where we are. And that's my opinion on it. And I stand firm on that.
Okay, all right. Tony.
Okay. I was high. I think I was higher on Brunson than a lot of the MBK fam members in the sense that I knew that he was gonna be consistent in what we saw in the playoffs. In the regular season. I knew that coming in from him. But let's not also forget prior to I was one of the few that was fine with actually elevating IQ to the starting point guard. And maybe using our resources elsewhere. So IQ's development is probably the biggest swing factor for me. Just because I kind of knew who Brunson was. IQ, I was almost just hoping he kind of continued to develop in that role as a starter. But for him to do it off the bench and then come in and do it when needed as a starter, it was beautiful to watch. And then just because nobody really highlighted it, I'm gonna say Julius Randle. I mean, turned it around completely from a year ago. You know, the thumbs down incident. I thought that would be the hardest thing to ever recover from. Coming from this organization and these fans, and for the most part, I'm gonna say, if you was against him last year, probably like at least 60% of the people that was against him have gone back and said, you know what, he changed my mind again. And I say again because he been through it already. You know what I mean? And survived it. A guy who wants to be here. Let's not forget how valuable that is. When nobody else really wanted to, he said, not only do I want to be here, I want to see it through. I've seen the lows of the lows, and I'm trying to get us to the highs of the highs. So, um, Randall, and IQ are those swing factors for the season for me.
Yeah, I mean, I dropped my podcast. Let me plug my podcast. I dropped my podcast this morning, the second one, and I talked about, the swing factors of the team. I had us winning when we did the first NBK show. I had us winning 40 wins, like because we went through it game by game. I had us at 40, and the Knicks won 47 games. And I knew that was a possibility. But I thought a lot would have to break right for the Knicks to win 47. And the number one thing was the chemistry would need to break right. Because I could see a world in which maybe Brunson doesn't fit, maybe Brandle, maybe that's Brunson and Randall
Brunson
together.
and Randle
But that was a slip.
Yeah, you might be onto something, Queen. Put it on a shirt. You never
Randall
know.
in the playoffs.
Put it on a shirt. You never know.
Right. We were talking about whether or not Randall would allow Brunson to handle the ball, right? There was some fans saying, he's so used to running the show, facilitating the offense. Will he even allow somebody else to do that? But yeah, Randall's at the top of the list as well. Randall, Brunson, however you want to put it. Remember, last year this time, fans were, in no uncertain terms, did not want this guy on the team. Period. Point blank. Trade him. We're
I don't
better
care if
without
his value is low. I don't
I
care
Right.
what you
I
get.
was one
We
of
can
them.
get pennies on the dollar, addition by subtraction. And I think the concerns of the fans were legit, but for me, I was like, it's hard to win in this league. Like, it's hard to get bona fide talent in this league, and I'm like, man, I think we can work with him. That was me. I'm like, listen, let's get him a point guard so he doesn't have to facilitate the offense, and and that way he could just play his role. Rebound, get to your spots, score. Obviously, if you double team, pass, but you don't have the responsibility of facilitating the offense. And secondly, I felt like give him an opportunity to rebound as far as him being able to hone his emotions. Because one thing about Randall, he may not be that great, you know, from game to game in terms of making adjustments, but from season to season, he has consistently identified what the issue was in his game, whatever it was, and came back and fixed it for the next season. And I wanted to see him do that, as far as being able to hone his emotions. And he did that. And I know some people are going to talk about the one or two, times when he lost it. I just feel like that's something that can happen to anybody on any team. The fact that he was able to come back in those same games and put that behind him and produce told me a lot about where Randall is, and him returning to all NBA form, whether he's voted there or not. He's having a better season than he did when he was all NBA in a tougher Eastern Conference. Obviously, he does have a better team than he had back then. That was huge for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it took some time. Remember, in the beginning of the season, he was trying to find his way with Brunson as a new acquisition. It took time for him to work his way in. So I think that was a big swing factor for us. And Brunson, listen, that's my guy. That's my guy right there. And I thought he would be good, but I was focusing more on, yes, he's going to score, but it's his leadership, his winning attitude, the ability to take the responsibility from Randle. Like, these are the things I was focusing on, and I felt he was ready to be a point guard of his own team. I was not prepared for just the offensive display and still be efficient at the same time. I wasn't prepared for how he's not that quick. He's not that, but he's still able to get his shot off on anybody like that. Yeah, he
that
definitely
leadership,
showed me something.
that leadership stuff, I feel like that again comes back to Josh Hart too, because not only did Brunson set a great tone, but the relationship with him and Josh Hart, I think, allows Josh Hart to come in and put his stamp on it comfortably because he got Brunson in his corner on the team too. And I think the two of them cohesively with their relationship is like a combined leadership now from that trade deadline and to finish the season very strong. And again, Josh Hart, for his play, but also for what he brings on a leadership level, and him and Brunson together, you can't ask for a better 1-2 leadership punch on a team.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony already talked about IQ, so I'm not gonna go there again, but
salute to IQ, because
taking the next step, the step I thought RJ would take this season, IQ took.
IQ managed to play off the bench and give you the value that you kind of was hoping if he had been the starter and he did this as a starter with these numbers, you would have been like, wow, he's doing great. But he actually did it primarily as a bench player. So, I mean, for as tough as I felt I needed to be on him the first 2 years, like, he equally deserved that same energy of praise and salute for this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about it. I still want Brunson now, but who knows? 2 years from now, he might be right there, in terms of being able to manage his own team or lead his own team into the playoffs.
She's trying to trade Brunson. Y'all heard that?
No, I didn't say trade Brunson. I said, for me, I would choose Brunson. But in another year or two, he might be right there. And some people would argue he's right there right now. Some people would argue that the Knicks would be on the same trajectory with IQ at the point guard. That would not be an argument of mine. But some people would argue that. I think
I won't say that, but that was my argument, prior to Brunson.
Right.
No doubt. And the way he's played with free agency coming up, I mean, he might be looking like kind of where James Harden was, where it's like, oh, there's Russell Westbrook. You're only gonna ascend, but so far this team,
right?
I mean, I hate to even go there, but you know what it is. So I just leave it there. I'm gonna say less. I'm just gonna say less right now.
Yeah, we've talked about it. We've talked about. I don't know. It's so much content creation. I don't know if I've talked about it on Dope Soul Sports Talk. I talked about it with Tony in a private conversation, or if I don't even know. But there's been a lot of Quickley talk about him coming back next season and how much money he's going to command. The Knicks, and if he balls out in the playoffs, the Knicks are going to have their job cut out for him. Cut out for them. I should say. I also thought the acquisition of Isaiah Hartenstein was underrated. What we're getting now is what I thought we would get when we first signed him, plus some 3-point shooting. Like, I did think that he was going to stretch the offense some, but what we're getting now, it's just really transformed our offense. Particularly our second team offense. If Quick has to, for whatever reason, start, you can run the offense through Hartenstein in that second unit.
Is there an aspect of his game that has surprised you?
Not really. I knew he was a good rebounder. At one point late in the season, he was the number 1 rebounder off the bench in the entire league, and he may still be that. His rebounding rate, how much he rebounds for the time that he's on the court, is definitely up there.
His,
So that didn't surprise. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say his perimeter defense has
Mhm.
has
It's
has
a little better.
surprised me. I mean, I thought it was I thought that was where he lacked the most, and maybe it is, but even there, you know what I mean. If his footwork is good on the defensive end, he's just gotta stop. You know what I mean, reaching.
Right.
But when he's not reaching, he's good. You
Yeah.
know what I mean. So
Yeah. And matter of fact, he did say he had an Achilles injury early, and that may have been the fact. I'm not saying he was lying, but you could definitely see the quickness, because there was a time when he ran from nowhere for a steal one time. He caught somebody at the rim one time. I was like, wow, like his speed, his quickness in a short, area has been really good. And then his shot blocking started to come around. But what I'm most impressed with is the passing, creating shots for other people in that second unit. You know, is good to watch. So I think we covered. Oh, we
Baby
left out.
Joker,
Did somebody say Tibbs?
Baby
Yeah.
Joker, Baby
Or
Joker.
somebody did say Tibbs? Yeah, definitely. I think going back 3 years now, the culture that he wanted to bring to the Knicks is just stamped into the Knicks
Yeah.
right now. It's just stamped. I mean, how confident these guys are, how skilled they are, how deep they are. But I think part of it is Tibbs says this, and it has to get annoying at times. Like, he says the same thing over and over and over again in terms of how you're supposed to approach the game. And these guys learned that. And if you've been with Tibb, which most of these guys have 2-3 years, by this time you already know. By this time you already know. You have to develop championship habits well before you become a championship team. And that's by doing the same thing game in and game out. Doesn't matter what the competition is. Tibbs be calling timeout. I'm like, why are you calling the game is over? Why are you calling a timeout? But
it's
he's
a
not playing to the
teachable
score.
moment. It's a teachable moment. Yep.
Teach you a moment. That's
You
it.
know, so shout out to him. But you know how it is with coaches. Your team wins, you get all the credit. Your team is losing, you get all the criticism. That's just how it is. Nick Nurse might be out in Toronto. 2 years ago, he was the toast of the town. Oh, he's such a great coach. Now, he might be on his way out. Maybe. That's just how it works with coaches. Tibbs' seat has cooled down right now. Next year, with the expectations, the Knicks get off to a bad start. He may not even make it to the All-Star break. I mean, that's just
I
how it
still
happens.
I still see fans in the chats in different groups that still want Tibbs gone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure it all out. Like, what more do you want?
Yeah, I already sent him my apology letter, so he got that. So I'm good. I'm in his good graces. So,
But do you have to apologize if that's who he was last season? Right? I mean, unless you said he wasn't a good coach. What I try to do is I try to keep it right in the moment.
right.
So if last season he didn't do a good job, he didn't do a good job. I mean, no need to apologize.
But he just came off of Coach of the Year, though. So, like, where's the love? Where's the, like, we just lost our starting point guard and our backup point guard. Wait,
You talking about last season?
I'm talking about last season. It's like,
Yeah.
how are you?
He got no mercy last season.
How are you judging the driver when the car starts to break down about their driving skills? Like, this team was breaking down last year, and then no mercy on the coach who just was coach of the year and took the team to the playoffs for the first time in forever with a team that they had no business being a 4th seed. And then the next year, because Obi's not playing and Quickley's not playing, he don't play the kids. We got to get rid of him. His rotation. We don't got no players.
How about Obi and Randall's chemistry down the stretch on the bench? You know what I mean? Just laughing and joking. Obi
Randall's
sitting next to
chemistry
Randall.
with the entire team, actually.
Agreed. But
I watched the game. He's at the end of the bench. Every player that came out came and dapped him up. Every single player, and then they were sitting there next to him. I'm like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. These are the little subtle things that people don't see and don't talk about with Randle.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. But DJ Shadow, the question I have is, can you be a good coach overall and have a bad season? Is that possible? Like, is it possible that the year before he did an outstanding job? Is it possible to be, employee of the month 1 month and then have a bad month the next month?
Absolutely. However, if the tools that I had to do my job last month are not the same tools, or I have worse tools this month, there should be an expectation that I'm not going to do my job as well. And I just think that, like, the fans in a higher number than I could really understand just have the coach doing a poor job with a poor roster. You saw what happened to Steve Kerr when Curry went down and Thompson went down. They was in the lottery, and they got Wiseman. They got Kuminga.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is what happens when you don't have players. You have to have players.
I do think sometimes coaching is overrated. I'm not saying that coaching doesn't make a difference. It does, right? But people expecting a coach to drag a team across the finish line, and they don't have a good roster. Or people say, "Oh, this coach is a good coach," and they're coaching Hall of Fame players, top 75, players. But this coach is not a good coach, and they don't have that same roster. I just think that we underestimate how important it is to have players on your team and how important it is for those players to perform. They perform, they make the coach look really good, because the coach is not even in position when you're not even talking about an out of bounds play. You're not talking about those type of things when you have players. They cover up coaches' faults. And when you don't have those players, sometimes a coach can get exposed. So, I think last season, 37 wins, part of it could have been Tibbs, but it wasn't just Tibbs. There was a lot of things going on last year, and a lot of things broke right for us this year as well. Think about it. When we got Josh Hart, it was seamless. It was like he was part of our team for the entire season. It's a delusional Knicks fans' point. When you get Tibbs, his type of players, you see how things work. I think going to the 9-man rotation allowed Quickley to get more minutes, because now he's backing up the 1 and the 2. You got a 10-man rotation, that's less minutes for somebody. So super excited about the season. Super excited that the Knicks organization has worked their way back to respectability, with this new front office. So yeah. Anything else about this season before we move on to talking about our matchup with Cleveland?
I did like the new addition that we did signed. I believe his name was, what is it, Roy or something? The 6'8", 6'9" forward. That's
Roby?
going to be yes, Roby. Yeah, that's going to be something that we should definitely monitor and look forward in the future. I don't think he could play in the playoffs because
No,
we
he
just
can't.
signed him, but that's going to be huge for us, guarantee.
Yeah. They must, but we've made moves like this before though, right? With guys, and it hasn't panned out. But from what I understand, this guy's supposedly good. But I saw somewhere that he was 6'5". I said 6'5". I don't think he's 6'5".
I don't think he's 6'5".
I read that too though.
I
I
was
read
like,
that too. And it's specific. It says 6'5" and plays power forward. I'm like, what?
I was like, I remember him being like, I was thinking center. I was like,
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't remember him being a
he's lanky, but I think he's 6'8". I'm like
6'8".
230. I'm hoping because I've
The
been
Knicks are
dying to
already
have.
thinking about next season.
Uh, I'm
They're
sorry.
already
That's
thinking about it.
And his salary's at $10 million for next season.
really. It's not guaranteed.
Isaiah,
Whatever,
well, that's still too much.
whatever his salary is, it's not guaranteed next year.
Right.
And I think he
Oh,
got 400,000.
Please forgive me. 10,000.
Oh, yeah, he got 400,000 for that one day though.
Right.
Right.
So it was a 500,000 2-year contract. You know what I mean? And he got 400,000 up front. But that's basically so they kind of keep him as somebody on the roster. Like nobody could snatch him up coming into next year, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and then with who knows what happening with trades and restricted, free agents. I mean, he's just somebody that you could either toss in a deal if you have to,
right.
For cheap, and somebody, who's on the back end of your roster, and he comes to training camp, and we'll see what happens.
But how about that come up, sign a $400,000 contract for one day,
And you don't even play
Just,
that game.
and don't gotta play. Just walk away, and you ain't. You know what I mean? That's agent. That's an agent move right there. You know what I mean? Like that's how you get in the good graces of a player moving forward.
Right.
Relationships.
O said it's to be evaluated during the summer league. He's 25 years old. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's just good to see the Knicks putting in work now. That's his name. Isaiah Roby. Yeah, was cooking us when he was with the
Remember
Thunder.
that game?
Was that a regular season game or summer
Regular
league?
season. Regular season. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, now he got some moves, and like one thing about him from me just checking him out, like he's a player like he can block six shots in a game, he can get 10, 12 rebounds in a game, he can get 30 points in a game, he can get 6, 7 assists in a game, like he knows how to play. And that's one thing that I do appreciate about this team now is that we have players, minus someone who I won't mention, but for the players,
you got to mention that player,
Mitch. The smarts of the players, the skill set of the players is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Grimes, Quickley, Brunson, Hart, like guys that like Quickley, Grimes, Hart. These guys rebound great for guards. Randle shoots well for a forward. Brunson's in the paint and does well for a point guard. It's like we've got these players that all kind of do a little bit of everything, and I think that style of a player is like kind of now who they're targeting. Like you can look at the Raptors and you can see like, oh, that's a Raptors kind of player. They're tall, they're lean, they all handle, they get rebounds, and now I feel like we're getting like the savvy player that can kind of do a little bit of everything, regardless of their position that they play is where we're at now.
Listen, I would like to have the Raptors type of players be the Knicks type of players, two-way players, right? That's long and pinky. Yeah, I would like that. All right, let's move on to. All right, I always have to do this. Let's see. All right, let's briefly go over the 4 games we've played. So we won the series 3-1. We lost that first game in Cleveland. The starting lineup: Brunson, Fournier, Barrett, Randle, Mitchell Robinson. This is when we were still playing that 10-man rotation. Fournier was still in the rotation. Rose was still in the rotation. Yeah. Cam Reddish was in the rotation as well at that. Might have been 11.
My boy
10.
Grimes, my boy Grimes time was on the sideline with the injury, and he didn't play it. He didn't play this game.
He did not play. And this game was in Cleveland. Then December 4th at MSG, we won by 9 points. And that's basically been the rotation, the starting lineup for the season. Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randall, and Mitchell Robinson. We won, we won that game. Just giving some context um to what we're going to discuss. January 24th, we won that game. Mitchell Robinson was injured. We had to go with Jericho Sims. They had Garland, they had Mitchell. Basically, their starting lineup was there. We won by 2 points. And I think this is the game when Isaiah Hartenstein had that, was it a block at the end of the game that they said might have been a foul on Mitchell at the rim. And then obviously our last game, we won 130 to 116. This is without Julius Randle, and they were without Jared Allen. All right. We'll get into we'll get into some other stuff. But just your initial thoughts on this series coming up with Cleveland.
Oh, we're gonna have to ball out. Literally have to ball out. I think matchups is gonna play a major role. And for me, from the last show on Nick and Bruises, it's the centers and the forwards that's going to be the matchups that I believe is going to be the crucial spot. Jared Allen as well as Mobley. They're 2 7-footers. Take away our defensive and offensive rebounds. That's less possessions for us. That's key for us. We're top in the leagues in the rebounding and offensive rebounds. So you take that away, that's less possessions. This team has a capability of doing that, I believe, as well as having their bigger forwards and guards to match up and trap on Brunson. That's the concern. But I do believe that Tibbs will prepare the team in any scenario to where that there's going to be ball movement. Grimes got it going at the key moment to knock down these open shots. Quickly, a secondary ball handler to take the pressure off of Brunson during that time period. And Mitch is the main factor. Can he stay out of foul trouble? Can he box out? Can he put pressure on the rim on the offensive rebounds to draw fouls on their team to get them in a penalty? So it's a battle. It's battle of the bigs for me with this series.
Yeah. Good point. Anybody else? What comes to mind initially?
Yeah, battle of the bigs and battle of the bench, right? So, I mean, how much can we rely on our bench? Because I think we have ample guys on the bench that can produce in different areas. You know what I mean? Quickly can provide scoring at a starter star level clip, on any given night. You got intangibles with Hart and more intangibles with Hartenstein too. Like Queen always says though, with a lot of skill level. You know what I mean? He can pass, he can shoot, he can rebound. Obviously we haven't seen that 3-pointer, but so I think, and not only that, I think we have guys on the bench that if someone is not producing in that starting lineup, they can be inserted with the rest of the starters and kind of pick up the slack in that moment too. So how much do we rely on them? How much do we need them? And how much can they come through even when we're not relying on them? You know what I mean? And just kind of outshine what we need from them. But I think the bench is gonna be big either way, whether it's keeping us right there with them when guys aren't playing up to par, or to actually blow them out if we get a chance.
It's tough. It's tough. This is a tough matchup. They got great guard play, and they have very respectable, big men as well. So, I think the key is the defense. Like there's been too much guards getting into the lanes, and breaking down the defense. Cleveland specifically was very successful in doing that. I mean, Garland's got great handle and ability getting into the lane. Mitch, we don't even got to talk about that. Like Mitch is great with that pump fake. You got to contain yourself. I know you want to get at him on the three, but you definitely don't want him coming through for them explosive plays in the lane, making foul trouble, and making exciting plays, getting their fans like hype and really into the contest. So for me, that's where it starts on the defense, and that is keeping the guard play out of the lane. I'm really, I think to your point, Tony, and I think I said that a few weeks ago. Like I'm not relying on Grimes when I can bring Hart in, or Quickley could come in and play. Like it doesn't even matter between, even respectfully, even with Brunson. I mean, the way Quickley's played, the coach already showed us recently, even though it's coming off a Brunson injury, he showed us, fourth quarter, Quickley's playing great. I'm gonna leave him in there for Brunson. So between the two guards and Barrett, any of them guys could sit and anybody could play. And I'm confident on how that could just be juggled. So I'm just really hoping that we get playoff RJ Barrett and he does something different, because he got to make up for what he's been doing. And if he plays extremely well, like strong defense, not missing layups and just being efficient, not relying on threes, then I think we could make some noise here.
What's playoff RJ Barrett though?
Playoff RJ Barrett is shooting less threes, shooting a more efficient rate, not missing as many layups, and playing some defense, holding your man from doing whatever he wants. RJ's been like surprisingly bad on defense for me.
Yeah. How do we, in your opinion, how do we win this series? It's for everybody. This question is for everybody.
To me, the number one factor is keeping their guards from shooting a high percentage of their shots in the paint and getting into the paint, making foul trouble on the bigs and making easy layups. They got too much of that in the games that we played against them this year, and they're both very, very good at it. So, I think if we can limit them getting into the lane, we can win the series.
All right, Tone.
I mean, without anything outstanding, right? I think if we do what we've done all year, where rebounding, offensive rebounding, is high. I prefer us to shoot a good 3-point percentage, but if the volume is up, I think we make up for not shooting that bad. So the way all those little nuances that kind of got us here, like even though it wasn't traditional top 5 offense, but horrible shooting, you know what I mean? Things of that things of that nature. Like I feel like those things got us here, right? So now if we continue that, we could win a series. But the brighter side to that is, if that shooting just clicks, boom, that changes things. You know what I mean? Like it's all these little nuances. If the free throws, you know what I mean? Like we could get to the line. If we hit our free throws, you know what I mean? Like this times we left 10 points off the game. You know what I mean? At that free throw line. 7 points off the game. You know what I mean? Like so I think if we continue to do what got us here, we could win. But if we just tweak one of those other little areas and just we could beat them in less than 6. You know what I mean? Like,
no doubt about it. I think one of the things that hasn't been talked about a lot, which I think we'll be fine with, is just that the playoffs is a different animal. The playoffs is a different animal. Points are harder to come by. The teams know what you're doing. There's no surprises. You might be able to get away with something for one game, maybe even a half. The adjustment is going to be made at halftime or the next game. So it's going to be harder. So at base, before you even talk about strategy, you got to be sure that you got players that can stand the heat. You got to make sure you have players that's not going to wilt, players that's not going to be like deer in headlights, right? That's first before you even talk about shooting, defense, adjustments, and things like that. You got to have players that are confident in it, confident enough to show up, even though the field is going to change, like in golf. Like the field is going to change. That's just what it is. And I believe we have those type of players. Like that's the one thing I'm not concerned about with this team. We are young, right? Overall, but we're young as far as playoff experience, but so is Cleveland. It's not like we're going up against a grizzlied, playoff team, right? They're young as well. But our guys, from what I'm able to see from them this season, and I would be super shocked if it doesn't carry over, is the confidence they have in their game, the confidence they have in each other, how they play hard, how they don't give up, how they don't get down on themselves. How many times have we got blown out this season?
Not many.
No.
And if it did happen, it was early in the season, right? I think that part of the Knicks is going to be huge in the playoffs. You need guys that when things tighten up, they don't wilt. When the lights get a little brighter, they don't wilt. And the Knicks, because players have been out and others have had to step up, they've been in a position of playing multiple positions. They've been in scenarios in which they've had to step their game up because Randle was out, because Brunson was out, because RJ was out.
Well, when I look at this team, to hopefully accept that point, I mean, we got Brunson and Hart, who are college champions. You've got Grimes, who was a top 10 player going into college and played for a big program. You've got Quickley and Randle that played at Kentucky. Quickley Player of the Year in the SEC. You got RJ, who's played at Duke. So, like you got players that like they, like these are not guys that haven't done it anywhere. Right. And there's just now they're coming to, the bright lights in the big city and they didn't have the spotlight on them previously. Right. So, the majority of our rotation are players that have like the player I'm worried about is Mitch.
Because this is his first playoffs as well.
His first playoffs, yeah. He didn't play in college, so he may not have had that experience. But these guys who did play only played 1 year, though.
Yeah, but even if you only played 1 year, but Quickley's coming from Kentucky. It's big market, SEC Player of the Year, a clutch guy going to a big school like that. Mitch, he barely played college.
He didn't play.
He came from a small town. He's kind of aloof. So I'm always worried about Mitch, and I'm worried about him in the playoffs more than any player on the team since he's he's gonna get his minutes. But other than that, like Hartenstein, he clearly he does his own thing. So I'm not worried about him. Nobody else I'm really worried about that's in the rotation other than Mitch.
Can I say this about Mitch though? His role is not like he don't have to do a lot. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
But he does need to make his presence felt though, because there are some times when he could, I'm not going to say disappear, but just do the usual stuff. And we need a bit more than the usual stuff with these guys we're going against. But go ahead, Tom.
No, I mean, just to double down, I was going to say the same thing. Like, I think there's less to be concerned with Mitch because we're not asking him to create anything, but get play defense, get that offensive rebound. I think for him, this could be more of a shining moment for him, if anything, if nothing else, because of number one, the matchup that he's going against. Like he heard the rumblings about this guy when he was right across the river. You know what I mean? So I think he's looking forward to this matchup, and trying to one up him. But to Queen's point, we're not asking him to get the ball and create. So he can't really get lost in the moment because there's like his moment is what he does. The only thing he does. Like so how can
don't get too hype? Don't get too hype and get in foul trouble. We'll get 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just be cool.
But I mean, that can happen. That can happen in the regular season game. You know, with Mitch.
Generally, he's been a little bit better though than he has in the past. So, like, just don't get too hyped. That's all. That's all I'm asking.
But not just that, Mitch. You know, they could limit Mitch's effectiveness with those guys. I mean, his second chance points has been big for us. We don't shoot well. We shoot in the 20s. Free field goal percentage, free throw percentage. I think we might be up to 19 now in 3-point percentage. Where are we getting our points? We're not a fast break team. Anything we get there is gravy. Second chance points, the volume of 3-point shots that we take, not turning the ball over. If they limit Mitch and the rest of us off the offensive glass and limit our second chance points, it's going to be tougher for us to score. And they have the guys who can do that. They have the guys who can neutralize Mitch. Hopefully not. I've seen Mitch play in a way where I'm like, this is what I'm talking about, Mitch. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I need that. I need that in this series.
Again, to your point, it's got to be Mitch and the rest of us, because we got some guys that could rebound. We got some, Quickley, high rebound rate for a guard. Quick, one of the highest in the league. Hartenstein, we talked about his rebounds per minute, or however you equate it. So it's really, if they're focusing on Mitch, if they putting 2 on Mitch to stop him, we better still come up with that rebound, because we're more than capable. RJ can rebound. If Randle's available, he can rebound too. So yeah.
No, that's a good point in terms of keeping them off the boards and keeping them from getting second chance points. But what Mitch does for us is he gives us a second. It's like a do-over. Like, we shoot, we miss it or whatever. Mitch will get the offensive rebound. We get another shot at the basket. Hart, obviously, he's gonna pass it back out. Sometimes he puts it back up, but we get a do-over. And that's a big part of what we do in terms of scoring points. Because they're going to have inside position, do a good job of keeping Mitch from getting that extra rebound for us. I'm just saying it's going to make it,
No, I'm saying we got to have a conscious effort of that, though, because if they're doing that, that means they're going to need 2 to do it. You know what I mean? They're going to need both. I think so.
I think they're going to need 2 people to keep Mitchell Rob. Like, you don't think Jared Allen by himself can keep Mitch off the offensive boards?
Not. I can't see it being like, oh, Mitch can't get the rebound over him. That, you know what I mean? Like,
but he's gonna have inside position. We're talking offensive rebounds.
I know, but I think it's fair either way. It could go either way, whether it's on a one-on-one. You know what I mean? Like, it could go either way. Mitch might get one. Allen might get one. You know what I mean? But I thought you meant like if they're consciously putting like 2 on him to prevent him from getting that offensive rebound. I'm like,
I don't think they're gonna need to do that. But let me just bring up something real quick, just in terms of the head-to-head matchup, and we can actually. I should have put the offensive rebounds, but I think I do have one that has points in the paint. So this is just against our head-to-head 4 games. In parentheses is where is against the league, right? But the first number is against each other, right? So the Knicks score 116 points on the season, but against Cleveland, they've scored 108.8 on average. So rebounding wise, I should have broke this up offensive and defensive, because but I do have second chance points, so that's cool. Rebounding, we score 46.6. We grab 46.6 against Cleveland, 47.3, about the same. Their rebounding is a little worse. Anything about the head-to-head stats that stick out for you?
Turnovers. Definitely turnovers. 15 turnovers when we usually put up 13. I think that can play a role. That and the shooting, not the shooting, the rebounding. Out rebounding them is very crucial. As you can tell, we're grabbing more rebounds because Cleveland is a jump shooting team. So they definitely like to utilize mid range jump shots or threes. So that can play to our advantage. If we continue to dominate, that's that's a big difference on the rebounding board. So that's more possessions. Hopefully that translates to buckets, which it has shown. So I believe it's the turnovers and the rebounding.
Yeah, I like our 3-point shooting.
Oh yeah.
We can shoot 39% in this series. It makes things a lot easier, for us. And they
Well,
shoot a little better from the 3-point line as well. 36.7 against us. They're shooting 38.7. Again, these are regular season numbers. Somebody was gonna say something?
getting them
uh,
getting them to score 7 points less than their per game average is the type of encouraging stat that I see. Yeah, I mean, and we can keep them, below what they normally score. The way the Knicks offense has been moving and grooving, shaking and baking, then we should be all right here. The part that concerns me is I gotta admit that 76% free throw percentage is a little higher than I would have thought, because I feel like every time I'm watching the game,
Yeah.
the team is shooting like 50% from the line, and it tears me up inside, because my mother always told me, if you don't do nothing else, make your foul shots. It's the same distance every time you shoot it. If I had a nickel every time my mother told me that, I would have been a rich kid. So when I see 65.9%, I'm appalled, I'm concerned, I'm worried, and I want to hide the knives. Because I mean, I don't expect how you expect to win any game. I don't see how you can expect to win any game in the NBA shooting 66% from the foul line.
Right.
Like, what are you really doing? It's not like there's Shaq on this team, or
Mhm.
or something like that. I mean, I guess Mitch is Shaq, I guess, but he's not getting to the line the way Shaq used to get to the line. So,
Right.
like, I mean, man,
Somebody made a good point. Pudge Knight said Mitch is shooting 50% and we still shooting 76.1.
he don't go to the line a lot though.
But it's still, yeah.
50% 2 for 4 ain't the same as 50%
right.
6 for 12.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Free throws, like, coming in, I was like, oh, all right, well, they're not a great free throw shooting team either. But now that head to head at 65.9, we shooting worse than our average, against them. So yeah, that's
and,
the biggest
if they're getting into the lane and they're getting fouls on the team, they're shooting more free throws, they got us in more foul trouble, which makes it, where they're able to take advantage of the defense now. So
and if their top 3 guys or so, are getting to the line, their top guys are great free throw shooters. You know what I mean? Where our big 3, collectively, aren't as good. You know what I mean? Like, Randall's been shaky. He's been better in the clutch and down the stretch this year, but he's been shaky. RJ's been shaky, and Brunson, he's even been shaky at times. So
he started hot, but then he
yeah,
started
he
getting
started hot. It was once he missed them game winners. Once he missed them game winners, you know what I mean? He's been shaky ever since.
Like he been a high. He ain't been what he was before.
Right.
Nah,
I mean, we got to run the numbers. It might look that way, but we got to run the numbers.
no, I'm sure he's still up there high, but
no, I mean, even running it since you can run it
oh.
since then. You can run it since then, as well. I do want to let me see if I have it here. A miscellaneous stats. So this is points in the paint, second chance points, fast break points, points off of turnovers. So they're pretty close usually, like 52.8 points in the paint for Cleveland on the season, 52.1 points in the paint for the Knicks on the season. But in the game, the Knicks are getting more points in the paint. than Cleveland, at least over the 4 games that we've played them, 53 to 42.5. Look at the second chance points. Like, we've been doing a really good job limiting them getting on the offensive boards and converting those shots from 12.5 to 6.5. And that's something we're going to have to continue to do.
That's a huge. That's 6 points. You know what I mean? 6 points less than normal.
Right. We're down a little, but not like that. Right. Fast break points. Listen, I'm not expecting a lot of fast break points in playoff basketball. If we're able to get it, I think that's great. If we're able to do it, but I'm not expecting a lot of fast break points. Yeah. Any comments on these?
No, as expected. Definitely points in the paint for the Knicks. But like I said, that second chance. And this is what I said. Mitch, very important in the series to get that second chance opportunity.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Let's talk about our confidence levels. Somebody in the chat talked about having concerns about Randle in the playoffs. And the only concern I'm having is that his ankle ain't going to be right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the concern I'm having about Randle, is that ankle ain't right. He's not 100%. That puts a little pressure on everybody else to step up a little bit. But we're used to that, right? Who are you the most confident in going into the playoffs? Who or what are you most confident in going into the playoffs?
I said we should all agree that Brunson is coming in the same Brunson as we expect from the playoffs last year, as well as what he's done in the season this year. That should be a given with everyone. I believe that he's going to take his game to another level. From the season, what he's averaged 23, 24.
23 point something, I believe.
Yeah, that's 27, 28 for the playoffs. Easily for Brunson. I think he's just going to take it to the next level. So that's what I expect.
So you're most confident. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure how they're going to play him. One thing about Brunson, though, he's not going to force it. If they double him, he's not somebody that, don't get me wrong, if there's single coverage and he feels he has the advantage, he's going to take it time after time after time. But if they're doubling him or what have you, he is going to pass it. So I'm just wondering if he'll have the opportunities to score 28. The thing with him is that he's so efficient. He doesn't even need a lot of shots.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. Anybody else who or what are you most confident in going into this playoff series?
I agree that I'm most confident in Brunson as well. But can I ask a question to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you? Because I think this is a different question. Who are you most confident in the ability to elevate their game in the playoffs? And when I say that, is maybe give us something that we haven't seen already, because it's actually a two-part question. I brought this up a couple weeks ago, where I was watching I think it was Kevin Garnett, and he was talking about Tibbs having guys playing at playoff level during the regular season and not being able to elevate their game once the playoff actually arrived. So that's the basis of my question.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think that there's any player that's going to play that has a level that they need to ascend to that we haven't already seen, that it's like, wow, like, unless like RJ just finds a bag that we haven't seen, doesn't miss a shot, and starts playing amazing defense. Like, that's really or Mitch they start feeding it to Mitch down low. He starts hitting turnaround jumpers. That we know that's not happening. So anything that's going to happen, I think whether we've seen it in small doses or larger doses, we're going to get what we get. And honestly, respectfully to KG, I'd rather have the comfort and the confidence of knowing what to expect than to be looking forward to getting something that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I don't think he was taking a shot.
No,
you know what I mean. I think he was saying that respectfully.
So, like, if you would have asked me this about 3-4 weeks ago, I would have said, "Oh, okay. Well, I think Grimes is somebody that we could see elevate because in the playoffs, typically somebody is not asked to do as much in a season, and then they get more opportunities because the defenses are more focused on the main players. So I saw Grimes, but the last couple of weeks, Grimes has done so well now. You can't even say that about Grimes because he's done balled out. Like I told y'all in the summer when whatever trade didn't happen. When I told y'all over the summer, Grimes time. So, I mean, Grimes has done it. Quickly's done it. I mean, even though it's a small sample size, always even put up big numbers. Hartenstein's going to do what he does. So, like, and Hart has done what he does already. So it's like there's no really to me. There's not much room for something, unless somebody gets hurt. Quickly gets hurt, and then a McBride comes in, or something like that happens. But with the rotation, nah, I don't see a surprise.
So you agree with his statement then? With it.
I agree that this year with this team, with these players, we've already seen enough from 1 through 9 all perform so well that there's not room for anybody to surprise me right now on this team this year.
What's your thoughts, Queen?
Maybe I'm the only one who sees the playoffs as something totally different, like a totally different animal. So to me, if you can do what you do,
league is his own, Queen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So to me, what Grimes is doing now, I'm not discounting it, but I'm saying it's the regular season. If Grimes is able to do what he's doing now in the playoffs, I would be impressed.
Well, but I think to the question though, I'm not necessarily expecting it, but if he did it, I wouldn't be surprised. Because
okay, I get it.
He has enough level of having already done it that I can't be like, oh wow, where'd that come from? We've never seen that. That would be a surprise.
Right. But for me, when a player does it on that level, on that stage, to me, it means a little more. So if I see him in his first playoff game, series, ball out, I mean, like, yo, we got one. I mean, I feel that way anyway. But to be able to do that on that stage, to me, it's just different, and I'm looking forward to it. So I understand what the guys can do in terms of their skill set. I've seen them do it in the regular season, but for me, I would be impressed if they did it, if they continue to do it in the playoffs. For me, I think that's impressive.
What do you think specifically about Garnett's comments?
I don't know if I understood it when he said. I don't know if I understood the comment that they peaked too early. Was he trying to?
I think he's saying that Tibbs has them playing not too early, but has them playing at their peak year round. So when they get the playoffs, there isn't another level for them. Like this now, granted, he's not saying they can't beat teams.
Right.
He's just saying
they already playing at that level.
They're already playing at that level.
Sounds like a good coach to me, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Obviously I'm most comfortable with Brunson as well. And I think you can take it to the next level, because when you think about last season, regular season Brunson and playoff Brunson was another level. So yeah, I do think there's another level for him. I think there's another level for Rand. I think there's another level for any of these guys.
Here's the thing with Brunson though. Mm-hmm. His next level was contingent on his role being increased, right?
So he had more
Here,
usage.
here's his role is increased from the jump. So you know what I mean? Like you see what I'm saying? Like last year, the difference was in season, was in the series. Luka's out, change of you know what I mean, change of the guards, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We're here, that was his spot from day one. Once he got here. So and again, I'm not saying he doesn't have another level. I hope he does.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't, I think his level is good enough because like we've said, yeah, it's the regular season, but we've seen him put on 48. You know what I mean? We've seen him drop 6 games in a row of 30 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? So we've seen him play at that level when he needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's really about. It's not about giving you these stats every day. It's about giving you the stats that you need when
When
you
you
need
need
them.
it. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But I'm definitely most confident in Brunson, Randall, and Tibbs. I'm confident in Randall. As well, I know some people in the chat have some concerns about his emotionality and things like that, but I'm super confident in if he's healthy. If he's healthy, um, going into the series. DJ Shutter, you was gonna say something?
Well, I never got to answer the question about
Oh,
who I was the most confident in,
mhm.
and Tibbs and his playoff experience and his leadership is what I'm. Right after Brunson, it's Tibbs. Like if there's anybody I could feel comfortable and confident with, it's the coach. Despite whatever rotations people don't like or young players he don't play.
Okay. Yeah, I'm confident in Tibbs too. I think he's grown, hopefully from that series, um, 2 years ago. But I think he has more to work with now than he did then. So I'm looking forward to seeing Tibbs in this series as well. Um, mm, what is who or what? Like, well, let me see if I can frame it because not necessarily who are you least confident in, but is there anyone or anything about our team that you have concerns about going into this playoff series?
Well, it's not a concern. It's just maybe an uncertainty is what we brought up on Tony's show as far as just what Tibbs are we going to get? What Tibbs how's he going to adjust? That's my only thing. How's Tibbs going to adjust? If Cleveland is running a lot of high pick and rolls and we still utilizing drop coverage and these guys constantly gets into the paint and knock down shots, will Tibbs eventually go to a switch? Defense where we could switch and stop the penetration or, just that's my only thing is how Tibbs will manage the game. That's it. Not say it's going to be bad or it's good. I'm just uncertain of how Tibbs in-game adjustments rather than series, different game adjustments. That's my only thing. It's
Right.
just where I just want to see how Tibbs does it. Like you said, we seen Tibbs make adjustments before in series. Might have been a little too late, maybe we'd have thought of, but it could have been still a right decision to get the guys going. But I just want to see what transpires, what way Tibbs goes from there. Not to say it's a bad thing.
What do you
Listen,
think is more important? Wait, what's in a series? What do you think is more important? In-game adjustments or game-to-game adjustments?
Playoff wise, I think it's in game adjustments. I think so.
agreed.
Tone, you want to say something?
I think it's the opposite. I think it's game to game.
I think it's game to game too. I'm not saying in-game adjustments aren't important, but if they did something one game throughout, like a wrinkle or something throughout that game that constantly beats you, and the next game you don't make any adjustment, you come back with the same thing, that's the problem. That's a problem. You know, they may come with, they may come with a wrinkle, and you may even try to do something different in the game. And depending on what you've practiced or whatever, you know that the team may be able to pick it up and do it. They may not be able to. But from game to game, there are no excuses.
Well,
And
my
that's what
my
I didn't see in that Atlanta game, other than changing the lineup, taking Elf out, which I did not like. I didn't see a lot of game to game adjustments. Yes, delusional.
now I would say my only pushback with that is Donovan Mitchell is the type of player that he can stay hot, and like I said, my biggest concern is him attacking the mid range and coming off the pick and roll. If we don't switch, and Tibbs, our defense is catered for guys to shoot threes, because that's pretty much the shots that you miss the most in a sense. So, but this guy knocks down threes with the best of them, so if we can't adjust early to stop that, right? We stop that early. They come with a new game plan. We can fix that in game. But if we wait to fix what happened in the first game, the second game, they could come up with a whole different scheme that we're not prepared of. And now we're playing catch up, I think. Not to say that will happen, just my
No, I get it.
perspective on that.
Listen,
And I've seen it in my games, when we play, and totally different level with playing
mhm.
in the New York tournament rather than playing in the NBA. But we make late adjustments at the half, but we're down 15. Then we obviously claw and fight back. And then we lose the game when it's like, yeah, we should have made that adjustment early. Then we played on the next game. Now we're trying to catch up. So I just
Yeah,
think
no, that's a good point. But I
right,
just think with Donovan Mitchell, you already got 2 or 3 or 4 ways that you're gonna play him coming into the game.
right, right,
You already have that down pat. How you gonna play him first? How you gonna play him, like you said, if he's getting hot for the three from the 3-point line? Like you already have your different ways in which you're gonna play Donovan Mitchell coming into the game, right? Um, Hopefully.
Well, and my thing with that stuff is you're 100% correct, but I still see it still seems like we just stick with the same defense, which makes sense. It's one of the top defense drop coverage. You got Mitch back there that can defend on both and penetrate, but sometimes Mitch can't do that every possession. Every possession, somebody's going to get through and then foul trouble, things of that nature. So occasionally, let's switch it up. Let's give them a zone one time, not a zone, but
Oh
let's
no,
give
no,
them
we're
a
not doing
switch.
so.
Let's switch on that pick and roll one time.
Right.
So then the next play, they in their mindset is like, okay, they might switch, but then we hit them with the drop, so it disrupts that
Yeah, no,
offense.
no,
That's
I agree.
so it's
I
just
agree.
one of those situations.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
it
I
could
do.
also disrupt your stuff if if you're used to your scheme and your scheme
Right,
is down packed, and
right,
now you're trying to switch up your scheme for this particular team. Now it takes one mistake, and y'all don't really know how to recover from it because you guys are not doing what you're accustomed to doing.
right,
If you're doing what you're accustomed to doing, you have alternate, alternate reads. You know how to make up for the mistakes that you might make because it's the same routine.
right.
You know what I mean? Like that like so. Then if you're switching that up on the fly, you know what I mean. You talk about in game as opposed to something that you kind of worked on in between the games and with like a real practice, a real scrimmage, and all that. You know what I mean? It gets a little bit trickier. You're more likely to make a mistake trying to implement something.
Right.
Well, they got a week off.
Hopefully
Hopefully, they taking every defense. We
Hopefully.
got a
right,
week
hopefully
off.
they
Mhm.
that thing. But I think the other thing to keep in mind with switches is how much is it hurting us? Because I've coached games where I'm like, damn, they getting that every play. But you know what? It's not really hurting us. We still in the game. We still doing what we need to do on the other end. But I definitely hear what you're saying, and I think that's a legitimate point. You got to have different ways, different looks um, to throw at Donovan Mitchell. But listen, and then I get to you, DJ Shuttle. The thing about this, when you get into a series, they're going to take away the first option anyway. So Tibbs is going to probably do that. Who's the second? Who's the third? Which team has the best options, the most options? How far down the line can you go and still get something? You know what I mean? Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to keep taking away certain parts of your offense and certain players, and you just keep going down the line. DJ Shuttle?
Well, one thing that I did see, not as much in the half court, but towards the end of the season, a bit more full court press from the second unit. Hart, McBride, even Quickley sometimes picking up full court. And for what you might not be able to implement as much in the half court defense, making them kill some time off the clock and getting slower to get into their action could be an alternate way of slowing them down. So hopefully we'll see more of that. I like that, and I think we have the players on this team to even without McBride, just even with Quickley and Hart coming off the bench, I think those guys are savvy defensive players, and let's put some of that, put a little bit more of that in place.
I mean, we're gonna have to show Mitchell different looks, but the thing about it is, it's not just Mitchell. So you're showing, Donovan Mitchell different looks, but don't forget you still have Garland. Don't forget you still have Karis LeVert. Don't forget you still have Mobley. Don't forget you still have Jared Allen. They may not utilize, their power forward in the center as much as they can, but they're capable if it gets to that, And so sometimes, depending on what else you have, it makes it difficult for you to focus on those guys. Same thing with us. Grimes, Quickley, RJ, Hart, Hartenstein. It's going to make it hard for them to focus on Randle and Randle and Brunson. Let me get to these super chats and then we'll continue the conversation. De La Music 50. I hope I got that right. Salute to the panel and my road buddies, Queen and Tony, DC crew. Appreciate you. The answer is Quick, then JB. Wow, he's going to do what he do. I'm afraid of everyone looking for Randle and losing confidence in their game. Okay. All right. And Walter White, appreciate you. My main concern is our 3-point defense. And our 3-point defense, believe it or not, let me see if I can get to that, is not as bad as we think. So the opponent 3-point defense, let me see if I can get in the screen here. Our opponent 3-point defense is 35.7, which is 11th in the league, believe it or not. To the eye test, though, it was hard to believe when I saw that. But yeah, we're 11th in the league in 3-point defense and percentage, and Cleveland is 23rd. But look at the difference; it's just 1.1%. And that's the difference between being 11th and 23rd. This team is it's kind of evenly matched. Opponent fast break points, opponent second chance points. They both do a good job of, limiting the other team to second chance points. Cleveland, 4th, holds teams to just 12.1 second chance points a game, which is 4th in the league. So very interesting. The Knicks hold teams to 45.9 points in the paint, which is 1st in the league. Cleveland is 3rd. It's going to be a very interesting matchup. Any thoughts on this before I take it off?
It's an evenly matched series. Like, anybody could win any game in this series. Who's turning the ball over less? Who's shooting the greatest field goal percentage? Who's making the hustle plays? Minimizing the
their free throws.
Oh, the free throws. Now we're going to see where that free throw shooting. I mean, again, I'm still probably just as shocked as you were about the 3-point field goal defense. I was as shocked at the free throw percentage that Knicks have for the whole season.
Yeah,
for sure. I thought it was more like 72%. 71%. I was thinking that we were barely at 70.
Oh, free throws. Oh, I thought you meant 3-point percent. Oh, you talking about free throw?
Free
Okay,
throw.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were barely at 70. I hadn't looked at that stat, so that was a pleasant surprise. But yeah, the playoffs though, you don't make your foul shots in the playoffs, you don't win.
Right. Wow, people are really concerned about Tibbs going into this.
Y'all gotta relax. The people that are those are the same people that wanted them fired.
Look, Shuttle, you gotta understand. Remember, I said I was the one out there. I was calling William Wesley like, yo, please put in that call and get him out here. I changed my tune because I saw what he can do when he has the players that he has, that he wants, and the production that they can do. My issue with Tibbs before, obviously, it started with the whole Cam. Everybody knows how I love Cam. But we knew that it was just more than basketball than what Cam could do. That's what I thought. Same situation with Kyle Korver. When I read an interview with Kyle Korver stated that never spoken to Tibbs, come to the teams. He already didn't speak with him. Like, he had to sit there and wing it. Like, Tibbs, like, once he don't like you from the rip, he don't. And it just goes from there. So that was my only riff with that in the Cam aspect. And then, of course, it was the early of the year where, like you stated, he was playing what was the other 6'5" guy? Burks over Quickley, when we always like, yo, just play quick. This is a time for us to develop. We're not making the playoffs. He still went with him. Then it was a time period where we were like, okay, play Opie and Julius more just to see if it works or whatever case is. We didn't see that. But then when we did see it, it wasn't bad. But he's like, no, we're still going to go going that way. So it was just those things that we were like, yo, play the kids, do all of that. That when we see it now coming to fruition, it was like, not to say it would have been the same production, but we was like, hey, we told you to do this kind of a little earlier. You took your time. Now we're seeing a production. So we just feel that Tibbs is behind on the curve when we're stating, hey, can we do this earlier? Can we try this earlier? And Tibbs would be like, I got my statistics that say this. We're not going to go that route. But then, of course, once we see it, then it's like, okay. But then it also could be for the development of the players. Maybe Quickley needed to sit and needed to get, pushed back for him to get that encouragement. And he came in this season ready to take over. So it could go both ways, which is why I apologize.
It can go both ways. But
exactly.
let me tell you, delusional Knicks fan, just how you stated it, the Knicks fan base is just really full of themselves. They said Tibbs was late doing what we think he should. Tibbs was late. We said that he should start Burks over IQ. We said that he should be, that he should be doing that, and he didn't do what we said.
That's a fact. Yes, that's a fact.
I mean,
and which is why we're in a position where we at, and he's,
yeah.
NBA,
but I peeped that. I peeped that last year.
To those fans, credit, delusional included. Tibbs said at the end of the season he was a little late too. He said he should have been playing some of those guys sooner. So now whether he was saying that as a point of I should have saw what I had in him earlier, or a concede and saying we would have won more if I did. I don't know which one he was saying, but he definitely said, he should have looked at them earlier.
But the bigger point is the coach gets to decide. The coach is operating from, I'm not, and coaches make mistakes all the time, but the coach, we're saying for their development. Maybe he wasn't in development mode. Maybe he was still trying to make the playoffs with this broken down team with the 4 busted tires. You know what I mean? It's us that's saying, give it up. Let's go for the playoffs. But that doesn't mean that's where the coaching staff or even the organization is. It's us that's saying, why are you playing Bird? Play IQ. Let IQ get some experience for the name. He's like, listen, your experience is going to come within the context of us trying to win games. Right now, I need somebody that's going to stop the perimeter, this perimeter drive, because I'm still trying to make the playoffs. I mean,
and sometimes you got he has to see it. You know what I mean? You gotta wait till he recognizes something. You know what I mean? It's not for us to point something out and then him to be like, "Oh, well, the fans are saying." You know what I mean? Like, look how he is when the fans are screaming.
Fire him because he's not doing what we think he should be doing. Like, I mean,
first of all, Jason Kidd just told us about how management told him how to manage the players for the end of the game. So I hope the fans are listening to that and know that it might not have been Tibbs that made all of those decisions. That's number one.
I'm so no.
It can happen for Jason Kidd, but it can't happen for Tibbs.
No. I hear what you're saying, Shoto. I'm not disagreeing with that. I respect that. He put the shades on, Lord. It's just that just seems like it was Tibbs all the way as far as playing Burks over Quickley. That's my only defense.
Let's give that the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Let's say that's what it was. You already have an inconsistent third year RJ Barrett playing.
Right.
You already have an inconsistent third year Mitch Young player playing.
Right.
Okay. You started with Kemba, you went to Rose. Now I'm just gonna give the keys to this late first round pick who the prior year, while I'm confident in him, showed nothing but the ability to be extremely erratic and not reliable. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it to a veteran that I know I can at least know what to expect. He's gonna play some decent defense and give a little bit of stability. Even if we lose, we're not gonna lose in an unstable kind of way. There'll at least be some level of cohesiveness, even in losses. And Quickley, you're gonna still play. And that's the thing, too. The coach was always supportive of Quickley. He never said, he never got buried on the bench. He always got minutes from year one. He had rope with the wild shots and shooting too much. He had a lot of rope. So even without starting for 2 years, he had more rope than he really deserved, if you ask me. So starting or not, he got the time he needed to play. And you don't just hand the keys to people. And as much as I like Quickley, he seemed like he needed a little humble pie too. And I think coming off that bench made him work on his defense. It made him work on his decision making, and it made him be like, I really got to get my minutes. I got to step my game up. And coming off the bench I really truly believe, is what made him ascend to the player he is.
No,
and if you would have started him last year, it would have been premature. He would have been gassed of himself, and he would have been like, "Oh, I got this," and he wouldn't have been the player he is.
And maybe that's why RJ Barrett is,
and that's why RJ Barrett is struggling.
That's why
Kevin Knox struggled. He didn't get the opportunity, like an Aaron Rodgers, to sit behind Brett Favre. I know it's Hall of Famers we talking about here, and Burks is not a Hall of Famer, but just point being, even Eli Manning, he came in first year behind Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner wasn't lighting it up, but he got to learn coming off the bench. There's just value to that. And, just because you're not winning games doesn't mean throw the guys in there. When you already got so many young guys getting so many minutes, Grimes was playing minutes last year, RJ's playing minutes, Mitch is playing minutes. At some point, it can't be trust the process with 5 young players all at the same time. As a vet, I don't want no parts of that.
But I think a lot of it had to do with the direction of the team. If you're developing, you make different decisions than if you're trying to win, and it's just as simple. It's just as simple as that. And Tibbs was trying to win every single game. That's just what it was. And what I do push back was people think it was just Tibbs. Oh, Tibbs is just so he just want to win every game. Tibbs has been lockstep with this organization from the beginning. If you think the organization wasn't trying to win games, you think the organization could have easily fired Tibbs or easily told him, listen, we need to go in this direction now. The front office has been lockstep with Tibbs, really not wanting to be a lottery type team and really wanting to push to become what they are now, a perennial. I don't know if I want to say perennials 2 out of 3 years, but that's the trajectory.
You can say
stays.
it.
That's
You
the
can say
trajectory.
it, Queen.
Hold on. Say
You're
that,
not out
Queen.
of line.
Say that. Let's go.
Perennial playoff team.
There you go.
That's
There you
that's
go.
been the Knicks. That's been the Knicks. That's been the Knicks trajectory.
2 out
All
of
right.
3. That sound perennial to me.
Yeah. And Quickly has come along nicely. And I think, to Shuttle's point, maybe part of it, probably not all of it, because he's a worker. Part of it may have been he had to earn his keep. And he had to shore up some parts of his game.
Just to clarify, I was
Yeah.
only talking about the second half of the season last
Yeah.
year for
I
him
know
to get
you
that.
good.
And
You
then,
good.
of course, when he got
You
that
ain't gotta
spot,
like Tibbs.
tell
Just
me
because you
who
went to
was
some
it?
Tibbs supporters, that don't mean you gotta like him. You good. You in good company. We hear
Oh,
you.
no. Tibbs is my guy now. Tibbs is my guy. Like I said, I totally understand what he could do when he got his players.
And I
Yo,
think
bro,
that's what it came.
And
You
when
brought
you
up a
look
good
at
point.
when you look at his players on the team now, I mean, like let's keep it real. When you look at Milwaukee with a Giannis, a Middleton, a Holiday, and a Lopez, you look at an Embiid, a Harden, a Maxey, a Tobias. You look at what's the other team? Jalen Brown, Tatum, a defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Russell, I like Randall, but these guys are not quite those levels.
Right.
So we right below those levels.
We on our way though, because those guys wasn't always those guys. They had to grow to that too.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been. You never know how a show is gonna go. Like I'm rattling my brain before the show. But when you got good panelists, it just goes. Any concerns? What's your thoughts on Randle? If Randle can't go, we'll probably start Obi. How confident are you in this team? Not Obi, in this team if Randle can't go?
Can I jump in this first?
Absolutely.
We're not even going to get to that because Randall's going to play. I believe it's 100%. Randall's a different breed. You saw once he first sprained it, it looked bad, and he was wanted to stay out there to knock down those free throws and try to get it to go. So I believe he'll be ready game one, even if he's about 98 and above. He's going to play. And I think he's going to play well because of overall factor. He got the rest a couple of weeks before here, so he's coming in kind of fresh, mentally fresh. I think Jules will pretty much not shock us, but he will be efficient coming out in game one, knocking down threes, aggressive, and the team would just catapult from there.
And he's a competitor. He remembers what everybody said about him 2 years ago. And I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get another opportunity to perform in his playoffs, even though it wasn't all his fault.
Yeah, my concern is him playing at less than 100%, or trying to, like, I'd much rather him if it takes two games for him to sit, you know what I mean, and then he could be 100%. I'd much rather that and live with the results of what we do without him for 2 games than him come back and potentially, re-injure or re-aggravate or have a setback. So that's what I say about that. And I do believe that we are capable of winning without him. It's just gonna be hella tough. You know what I mean? Like we gonna need them swing factors. all
of them to come through. Yeah, no doubt about it. Listen, I don't. If he's only going to play if the medical staff says he can play. I don't care what the front office wants. I don't care what Tibbs want. He's going to play only if the medical staff says he's ready to go. But you can always have a setback. You can always feel like I'm ready to go. They testing your ankle, whatever they do. Like, all right, he's ready to go. Practice, whatever. I'm sure, there's levels to it, and then get in the game and have a setback. It does happen.
I mean, my concern is not the medical staff. I trust the medical staff, but
Mhm.
you know more than what any medical test can tell you, right? So that you can pass the test and you can know it don't feel right. You know what I mean? But the competitive nature in you may say, "All right, I that's what I'm more concerned with him forcing it more than the medical staff
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, it's okay when it's really not." You know what I mean? I'm more concerned with him mentally you saying, "Oh, I could fight through this. I was cleared, so I'm good." But
Mhm.
you feel something different that you're not trying to admit to. Like that's what I'm more concerned with. I don't think the medical staff will let him go out there
Right.
if he's
Right.
not,
No.
cleared.
Like they might be asking him how this feel. How this feel? Oh, it's great. Feels good.
Yeah, exactly. That
Right.
that's what I'm
Right.
that's what I'm talking about.
Got you. Got
No.
you. I got you.
No. I would be more concerned if he didn't, appear on the sideline without the boot for the last game.
Mm.
Like
Oh,
I
the
feel
the
like
boot was off.
It
the
was
boot
off.
was off.
Oh, I didn't realize that. All right,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
back.
Because the Buddha's like, oh, he ready to go. I'm sure there's
He
some more
he
steps
back.
he has to take.
I'm just saying.
No,
Like,
but they
listen,
would
he could have
they
had the
would
boot on the day before and then played the next game. So
right.
if the boot is on off now and we got 5 days, you know what I mean? Like, that's encouraging. And, and,
Very.
and I,
Yeah,
I
that's
asked
how I
that
saw it.
in the Bleacher Report chat. Nobody responded. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that. That
Yeah,
changes
nah,
everything.
Mike Brings he touched on it briefly, and it was pregame. He was there with his you know with his lady and the two Rugrats, and there they were. He said sitting there with the low top sneakers and he was chilling. They said he's already been putting up jumpers and he's already moving around. So I'm like, all right, well, I
No
mean,
contact yet, though.
that don't mean that that just mean that they being careful. Don't mean like it don't mean
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
he ain't capable.
No,
But
no, no doubt. I would just feel more encouraged, when we get to the contact period. But yeah, you're right.
yeah. So, but if for some reason he goes down in game one because of the ankle and re-hurts it, listen, I feel like that Mobley is really good, but he's not dominant. And on offense, so much action goes through their guards. It's not like he's the go-to. Mobley's not like the go-to guy where he's gonna just just really kill Obi like that. And I think Obi could get his on offense. So
Mm.
I don't think that that's the toughest. The
I
toughest.
actually was going to talk about Mobley and Randall before we get out of here. Let me just read this super chat. Delano Music 50, appreciate you. Delusional about Randall. I'm good losing without Randall as long as we compete. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm good too if that's how it has to go down. Um, but hopefully it doesn't. This is what Bickerstaff, Coach Bickerstaff, the coach of Cleveland, said about Mobley. And I'm gonna read this, and then because I'm wondering, I want to talk about the matchup real quick between Mobley and Randall, particularly if Randall's not 100%. He's not just an elite one-on-one defender. He's not just an elite pick and roll defender. He's not just an elite rim protector. He has the versatility to guard every position. He's been that for a team that's been the number one defense for the majority of the year. Night by night, his matchup changes, but his responsibilities don't. So Mobley, he's a one-on-one defender. He's a pick and roll defender. He's a rim protector as well. Just your thoughts on him defending Randall. Do you think he'll pose any problems for him?
Hold on, quickly. Let me kind of
I
jump in
call
with that.
Cat.
So I was going through Twitter, whatever the case is, and JJ Redick, he has a vote into like defensive player of the year, things of that nature, whatever. So they had a sniblet out, and they have Mobley being front runner for defensive player of the year. That says it all in a sense of why he's crucial for him, not just for Randall. I just think it's the entire team. He plays a role. If this dude is lengthy enough to guard 2 players in one possession, maybe the whole entire team is possible. That's something, that's a key value to their defense, is his length and his ability to be able to switch on a 1 through 5. But we'll see. But I believe it plays a role. But we're neutralize that. I'm just saying it's just good for them, but we're neutralize it.
I call Cap. I call Cap. He could guard 1 through 5, sure, but can he guard this 4? Like that's what it's about. It's like yeah, you could switch, you could do all these good things defensively. Can you stop Randle? I think coach is just trying to boost his ego and get him a little bit ready for the series.
Well, it
But that is true, though.
Randle get.
His defense is true. Him being a good pick and roll defender, 1-on-1 defender, like that's true.
No, I know. Yeah, he got all the intangibles. Can you stop this guy? You know what I mean? Like, because you could talk about defense. I mean, I've seen the stat where Quentin Grimes has had by number 1 in defensive assignments all year. He's had the toughest assignments. When you go from start of the year, I don't hear his name in defensive, player of the year discussion. I'm just saying that's all fine and dandy. Can you stop Randle?
But that's the question for the panel.
I
think that listen,
he's not strong enough.
I respect Mobley. I respect Mobley. I expect Mobley to have some very strong defensive moments in the series, but to Tone's point, Randle is a different kind of animal than the majority of power forwards in the league and the majority of players in the league. Like, there's a physicality that Randle plays with that there just doesn't exist as a majority of players in the league these days. So he's the type, Randle, that is the type in a matchup like this that could get 2 early fouls on Mobley. He could absolutely do that. He could get physical enough on him to get in his head and take him out of the game, hit him with a little crazy. And that's what I'm hoping Randle does. And, also, too, you got enough action away from the ball with Brunson, getting to the hoop, that maybe they run some plays where they kind of use Randle as a decoy and put him to the side, stay out the way, and keep Mobley away, like a defensive back where you don't even throw to that side. It's like, all right, it's okay. Stay over there. Dion, we know you're going to play your tight D, but we're going to do some action over here, though, on this side of the ball.
Right. And, he's going to have to guard Randle out on the perimeter.
Mobley plays all right on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it takes away from that help defense. It takes away from some of those other things that he's good at. Like, he got to focus. Like, he don't got time to help. You know what I mean? He don't got time to switch off on this guy and that guy. He got a handful on his plate. So
I just think it depends on what Randle we get. If Randle come out and want to stay on the perimeter, knock down threes, and then, of course, attack once he open up the space, then it's going to be a long night for Mobley because Randle can give it to you from any direction you want it. So, but if he stays one-dimensional, then it's easy for them to pan in on that. So Julius just got to be versatile with how he scores. Get to the paint, mid-range, and the 3, but utilize the mid-range a lot. I believe he becomes that mid-range assassin, then that's it open up everything else for him.
Yeah, the thing about it is they got 2 7-footers. You got Brunson that likes to operate in the key. RJ likes to go to the basket. Randle likes to operate, in the mid-range. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Saturday, 6 p.m. Can't get here fast enough. Tony, you want to say something? Yeah. It can't get here fast enough. Any last words or anything you want to add to the discussion before we get out of here?
Knicks in 7.
Knicks in 6.
Knicks in 6.
I just want to just say, listen, for those of us that wanted Donovan Mitchell, like the majority of us thought we could potentially get, please.
You're not gonna let this. DJ Shuttle is just not gonna let this rest.
Get that out of your head for this series. It's just a matchup. It's just a matchup. It's just a matchup.
No doubt about it. It is what it is.
It's just
We'll
a
catch
matchup.
them on the next go around. Anybody else?
Grounds time. Hello.
Anybody else?
We ready. Ready for the play-in, ready for the playoffs. See what happens.
Saturday, 6 p.m. Tomorrow on my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, I usually do a show Thursday, 9 p.m., 9:30. We're going to still do that. But tomorrow we're doing a show Tuesday around 9 o'clock, 9:30. If you have your notifications on, you'll get it. We're going to go through the individual matchups of the players. Mobley and Randle, RJ and Karis LeVert, Brunson and Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Grimes. We're going to go through all the individual matchups. We'll also go through the bench. Then Thursday, we'll go through the offenses of both teams, the defenses, just where's the edge, the coaching staff, things like that. So Tuesday and Thursday, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. I'll be here every Monday, obviously, on Nothing But Knicks channel, but I do have my own channel. So if you haven't already, search for it, Dope Soul Sports Talk, and subscribe. For those who are already subscribed, I appreciate.
What about the referee breakdown?
Look, I don't want to see
Yo, we gotta watch these refs.
Nah, that's gonna be on the controversy, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds like an apropos location for a topic like that, because we gotta watch these refs. These refs is a little grimy and slimy out here.
Yeah. We'll see. This is gonna be intense. The fans is gonna be bananas. I just need Randle, because there's some people, if they don't perform well, they're gonna get it. Tibbs, Randle, they're gonna get it. So I need those guys to show up big, because you ain't gonna get no grace in this community. Trust.
Nah, please, RJ, shine, increase your trade value just in case. Quickly, please do what you've been doing and keep your trade value just in case. Who knows? And yeah, I don't know, man. I'm pumped. I can't wait. I'm working Saturday night, but I'm gonna find a way somehow to get some of this action.
You don't have it on your phone?
I've watched it once or twice on the phone. It's a little, but
it's not.
I'm gonna be playing a record or two. Be looking, play a record or two, and watching. So it's gonna be going. It's gonna be going down.
Yeah. We can't hear you, Tony. You got your mic.
Oh, my bad. I was like, you gotta cut the music. The Knicks just won game 1. You know what I mean?
No, but when I'm doing events and it be like big games and stuff like this going on, you better believe I do give announcements mid-game and give the updates.
Yeah, no doubt.
Officially,
they don't have a TV on the side.
Nah. I would be in Atlantic City.
Oh.
Atlantic City. I it won't be no TVs in the in the conference hall. But don't worry though, they're gonna be getting them updates.
Yeah, we go in there and take game 1.
Let's go. Why not?
Yeah. I'm with you. Anyway,
well, looking forward to the breakdowns the next couple of days.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. Until next time, family.